The 16-bit era had the best action horror games. From Ghouls and Ghosts to Chacon the Forever Man to Super Castlevania, the early 1990s was a golden age for hack-and-slash action games starring powerful men with a serious death wish. But as technology switched from 2D sprites to 3D polygons, horror games moved from action-packed to suspense-filled. Suddenly, it was more about surviving haunted mansions than being a monster-killing badass. Slain is the debut release from Wolf Brew Games, and it promises a return to the days when men rose from their graves to kick serious ass. You play Bathoran, a long-dead warrior resurrected to fight through a series of painfully difficult towers in hopes of freeing his children from demons. This is clearly not the first time he's been called upon to save the day, and he begrudgingly picks up the sword in order to finish the fight. This sends us on a straightforward mission through terrifying castles, the wolf-filled forests, the old town sewers, and much more. It's all lovingly created using the type of gruesome pixel art that would have been a perfect fit on the Sega Saturn. Like the 2D action games that inspired it, Slain is a frustratingly difficult side-scroller where death is always right around the corner. Bathoran hacks and slashes his way through all kinds of unfair terrain, rewarding players for taking a slow and steady approach and memorizing trap locations. The good news is that each area is filled with convenient checkpoints, but it's gonna take a lot of patience and persistence to make it to each one. The gameplay is a throwback to a time when action games were action games and nobody expected role-playing elements. Bathoran only has a few simple attacks, a fireball to throw, and not much else. The good news is that he will pick up new weapons along the way, including a flaming sword and ice-cold axe. Unfortunately, these cool-looking weapons don't do much to the gameplay. He doesn't learn a bunch of new tricks or suddenly become a wall-jumping action hero. Bathoran methodically makes his way through some of the most frustrating dungeons of the year. For some, the extreme difficulty is a selling point. This is a tough game, there's no doubt about it. Every level is filled with cheap deaths and checkpoints that feel just out of reach. It's a punishing game that'll turn a lot of people off, but there's something about the old-school challenge that invigorates me. Unfortunately, the extreme difficulty is made worse with the keyboard controls. For whatever reason, this setup is plagued with awful lag and makes the game nearly unplayable. This is made even worse when you don't even know what each button is supposed to do. The game will offer hints and suggestions, but never educates the player on how to do what it's looking for. Thankfully, the game is compatible with a number of controllers, which handles much better than the keyboard counterpart. This is a hard skip if you don't have a compatible gamepad. Visually, Slain is an absolute masterpiece. If the gameplay is a little shallow and the design unpolished, chances are it's because the developers were too busy creating this richly detailed world. The gothic look is gorgeously conceived, with real attention put on lighting and weather effects. It's like the heavy metal take on Castlevania I've been waiting 3 decades to play. There's a good chance the breathtaking graphics will suck you in, only to leave you disappointed by the shallow gameplay. This is especially true for people planning to play the game without a controller. But even with a number of imperfections, I found a lot to like in Slain. I was sucked into the atmosphere and look of the world, even as I yearned for better level designs and deeper combat. It's not exactly to die for, but a fun return to the days when ghouls and ghosts and the legendary axe ruled the scene. Hey, thanks for watching the review. I suspect I'm in the minority when it comes to Slain. Looking over the user reviews, I see it's getting trashed because of the gameplay concerns. Yeah, that's certainly understandable. My review would have been a lot less positive if I didn't own a compatible controller. Hopefully Wolf Brew Games gets that ironed out. Anyway, we still have a bunch of reviews coming up, including Sheltered and Nelly Kudalat. So do me a favor and click the subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.